एक तरफ जहां देश कोरोना के खिलाफ एकजुट हो रहा है, वहीं इसी दौरान कुछ लोग इस बीमारी के चलते पूर्वोत्तर के लोगों को कोरोना से जोड़कर निशाना बना रहे हैं। देश के कई इलाकों से ऐसी वीडियो सामने आ रही है जहां पूर्वोत्तर के लोग नस्लभेदी टिप्पणियों, भेदभाव और छुआछूत का शिकार हुए हैं। ऐसी कई घटनाओं को सोशल मीडिया पर लगातार शेयर किया जा रहा है और लोग इसके खिलाफ खड़े भी हो रहे हैं।
From times immemorial, India's northeast has been the meeting point of many communities, faiths, and cultures. A place renowned for its magical beauty and bewildering diversity, the festivals and celebrations in northeastern states of India are a colorful reflection of the people and their lives. Northeast India is the home for more than 166 separate tribes speaking a wide range of languages. Being sparsely populated and having limited representation in the parliament, the entire northeast region is generally bypassed by the government and the rest of the country. Racism against Northeast Indians stems from the fact that they look mongoloid in appearance as opposed to other Indians who are racially categorized as brown-skinned. In a study undertaken by the Indian Council of Social Science Research (ICSSR) on racial discrimination and hate crimes against people from the Northeast states, it was found that the primary reason for such discrimination was because a Northeast Indian seamlessly fits an Indian's perception of a Chinese person. 78% of the interviewees believed that physical appearance was a factor contributing to prejudice against them. This is why it is unfortunately very common to be called chinky, momo, and other racial slurs. What matters to them is that many a times these derogatory remarks are not due to pure ignorance, but are intended to question their belongingness. Such rejection that they are subjected to through questioning hurts them the most. Further, objectifying and despising them is common. Women face a bigger challenge as they are double profiled and referred to as easy women. Different food cultures, such as consumption of fermented food, have led to them being despised for such eating habits. The sudden, large-scale migration of people from the northeast to metro cities, such as Delhi, Bangalore, also led to an increase in racism. Here, they were considered lesser or unwanted Indians. They were sometimes also misrecognized as non-Indians or foreigners.
They are literally laughing at us, and then they're calling us Chinese chinkies, coronavirus, are bhako like that they're calling us.
हिंदुस्तान के कुछ लोगों का हिंदुस्तान में ही सफ़र करना और रोज़मर्रा का सामान खरीदना दुश्वार हो गया।
Racism as structural inequality. To prove how racism operates at multiple personal and structural levels, Gilbert Key uses the metaphor of an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg represented hate crimes and other overt acts of racial bias, which could be easily seen and individual mediated. On the other hand, the base of the iceberg signified those covered in subtle acts of discrimination that are difficult to observe. This explained how migrants from northeastern town comes to mainland India for work and have been discriminated against in plain sight in the form of sarcasm, jokes, and other taunts of their origin. In India, apart from narrow-mindedness being ingrained on a personal level, it is important to note that racism may be perpetuated by social organizations. Prejudice against the northeastern Indians is also a result of privileged and upper caste individuals exhibiting their powers and authority over them. Psychologist Edgar Sheen called this formulation internal others. On February 5, 2014, a 12-member committee under the chairmanship of MP Base Barua was appointed in the wake of the death of Nido Tania, a student from Arunachal Pradesh, after a racist attack in Delhi and a widespread protest by Northeast students. The committee observed that one of the major concerns of the Northeastern students was the discrimination apathy of the law enforcing agencies. The police themselves subjected the students to harassment and discrimination when approached to file and register cases. Drawing research from the systems theory, this showed that racism against Northeastern Indians has been perpetuated and institutionalized through social and political entities, resulting in either delayed or absence of justice.
World Health Organization said stigma occurs when people negatively associate an infectious disease such as COVID-19 with a specific population. Profiling of Asians or Mongoloid-looking individuals as suspect carriers of the virus has racialized and stigmatized an already insurmountable challenge. Let's analyze a few trends which we have been noticing during the pandemic. First, propagation of racial stereotypes by political parties. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, termed the novel coronavirus as the Chinese virus, and critics believe that this has reinforced xenophobia and intolerance against Asian people. In India, a BJP MLA from Telangana, along with his supporters, came out in the streets defying lockdown and social distancing rules and shouting, "Go back, Chinese virus, go back." Second, the double-edged fight against the pandemic and inherent xenophobia. Racial taunts and abuse during the coronavirus pandemic also percolated to flight attendants, doctors, nurses, and renowned sportspersons of the country. Indian ace badminton player Jwala Gatta and National Award recipient Oinam Bembem Devi expressed their disgruntlement on being called chinky and other racial slurs. Third, COVID worsened a pre-existing narrow mindset. In a survey conducted by 2 Swedish economists in 81 different countries, India was found to be one of the least tolerant countries, with 43.5% of Indians being unwelcoming of people from different countries and races. Let's trace a few of these events. In Ahmedabad, girls from Nagaland were accused of spreading coronavirus and were asked to vacate their rented apartment despite rent being paid in advance for the month of March. In Mysore, 2 students from Nagaland were not allowed to enter a grocery store on grounds that they were not Indian enough even after showing their Aadhaar card. In Mumbai, a miscreant deliberately spat on the shirt of a Manipuri girl and called her the origin of the virus. These are just 3 of the thousands of incidents of racial discrimination that our fellow citizens have had to endure due to plain ignorance and narrow-mindedness. What's more concerning is the fact that there are a score of cases that have gone unreported because the victim lacked agency or did not believe in the effectiveness of our law-enforcing institutions.
In the past 15 years, digital revolution has made citizens around the world become increasingly aware of and interested in the expanding use of digital technologies in campaigns for social and political change. Social media has become a weapon of the weak. Videos of incidents of racial discrimination and blogs have become effective in gaining attention with far-reaching impacts during the pandemic. Ugen Namgyal Bhutia, a rapper from Sikkim, released his first indie project titled Made in India. Through this hip-hop album, the rapper intended to spread awareness about the Northeast Indians as suggested by the title. An online campaign using different means of visual tags was started on social networks by smaller user groups to build, protest and spread awareness. Hashtags such as #IamNotCoronavirus were started on Facebook and Twitter. A petition was also started on Change.org addressed to Narendra Modi, urging the Prime Minister to condemn racial attacks on Northeast Indians. According to the World Population Review estimate, unemployment in India was approximately 8.8% of its labor force in 2020. With the lockdown due to the pandemic, the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy estimated that unemployment has risen by 15%. As the competition for jobs in the organized private sectors has gotten worse in recent years, there is a probability that it might lead to increase in racial hatred and related crimes. The northeastern region of India was the first epicenter of the separatist movements in the country, and few continue their struggle to this day. During the last 3 years, we have failed to make any appreciable approaches to the Nagas and other hill tribes in Assam. It was after 5 decades of independence that the youth of this region keep aside the pangs of alienation and started identifying themselves with the larger Indian nationhood. But now, in the neoliberal market spaces, there is an increase in preference of employment for Northeast Indians. In his study of Northeast migrants in Delhi, McDura observed that employers in certain sectors desire migrant labor from the Northeast in particular due to their distinct appearance and their English-speaking ability. In many of the big Japanese, Chinese and Korean industrial plants, companies employed Northeast Indians not only for their racial affinity, but for their acquaintance with East Indian cultures due to huge media consumption.
In a country like India, where inclusivity is of utmost importance, hate crime against Northeastern Indians has lasted long enough, and new measures have to be adopted to alleviate these issues and help make the country a more accommodative place. To start off with, legal measures need to be strengthened, including stricter laws that clamp down on people who practice hate crimes against Northeastern Indians. Secondly, education is of utmost importance. People need to be educated about the role of Northeast India in our country's heritage and development as a whole. This can be done through mass media or even educational resources. Thirdly, inclusion of Northeastern Indians should be encouraged in influential fields like the Bollywood industry or in sports like cricket. This would play a vital role in conditioning people's minds. Fourthly, faster and more fair justice ought to be delivered for such crimes. Setting up of fast-track courts is of much needed action right now. Fifth, setting up of support cells and helpline numbers for such discriminated people is the need of the hour too, especially given the fact that more than 50% of these victims are women. This can be done via social media and real-life establishments. The strength of a country stems from its rich diversity, and inclusivity is a necessity to foster this diversity. The ethnic or the cultural difference of Northeastern India is a source of celebration and not a source of barrier. Every one of us needs to acknowledge this and help ensure that the hate crimes against them are eliminated, as it is only fair that these Indians soon let go of the feeling of alienation and deprivation.